can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How we doing? FT Live on Thursday, the day before you'll see us in person at Borgata in Atlantic City. And by us, I don't mean Pierzynski. Yeah, not you.
I don't Jersey.
Yet.
You should come one day, though. One day.
One weekend.
One time.
That's a lot to ask of one human. I don't know.
We'll go to Pine Valley too.
Yeah, but then maybe. It just went from a definite no to a maybe.
I see we're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
We got a few months to work with. Apparently, I look very Jersey today. Is it true?
Yeah, it's the chain, it's the hair, it's the perfectly trimmed beard, it's the whatever the hell is going on, the lights behind you. I mean,
college dorm room background. Yes.
Yeah. I actually have. Do you see? I have a sunlight lamp too now, back here. See that?
No.
You don't see the color difference?
Oh, the blue.
On this side versus this side.
Does that help tanning?
No, it's color therapy. Doesn't help tanning.
Color therapy.
If you see me during the show just like this, I'm just grabbing some Riz before Jersey Shore for July 4th weekend.
By the way,
heard of it?
nice. I mean, who did your beard today? I mean, it is like
tight.
I mean, wow.
Tight.
Wow.
Fun fact, because it was getting out of control, I ran outside for 20 minutes during our production meeting. And while I was talking in the production meeting, the artiste was doing work. So, there you go.
It looks like there's something I don't feel like that's even real. That's so tight right now.
Yeah. We shaved and then he painted it on. Just letting you know.
That's literally what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. I can't take my eyes off it now.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm distractioned.
Well, let me try and distract you again.
Okay? Wait, hold on. What did they say on Jersey Shore? Tan? They said something in tan.
GTL, gym, tan, laundry, and it's GTLT, gym, tan, laundry, trout from Milford, New Jersey. Boom, there it is. Mike's joining us tomorrow. I don't know. There's got to be some music to this. Live on YouTube, Mike Trout is our special guest on Foul Territory. That's a beauty right there. That looks good. 2:30 Eastern time in that area. Okay, show up early because he's probably early, knowing how Mike is. So make sure you're there. And Ken Rosenthal will join us right before that. So if you want to hear from Mike Trout, and if you have questions for us too, and you're listening to the pod even right now, anything, bring it over. Okay, send them. DM us on Instagram, join the YouTube chat, all of that, and we'll try and bring some questions to Mike unfiltered as we do here on Foul Territory. Okay. Also set your reminder on YouTube it's hour number 2 on Foul Territory's YouTube channel. Let's run it right now on Stadium though, because big things going down from last night. History. It is time to pop off. Presented by Cookie Pop, Candy Pop. Let's go. Domingo Germán popped off. This is a guy who has definitely dealt with some adversity. Even this year, he was suspended for sticky stuff. He had been terrible in his last start. I watched way too much of it. And this is how our beautiful game works. Shows up against the Oakland A's and has a perfect game watch running that he said he was pretty much paying attention to from the jump. There we go. And Kyle Higashioka, who I know Erik Kratz will shout out, doing a great job behind the dish, said he probably started thinking about it in the 5th inning. And here's the other X factor, AJ. Popping off with a heavy heart. He said he was in tears in the clubhouse just a day before because of the passing of his uncle, who was a big part of the family. So thoughts with the fam, and what a way to pay tribute to the fam with the performance of his life.
No doubt. And congratulations to Domingo Germán. And I always like to give the catcher love, Scott. I mean, Higashioka, way to go, man. Listen, to somebody that's caught one of these things, Kratzy, it's a nerve-wracking as all get out. And there's only been 24 of them in the history of the game, man. I've been fortunate enough to be on the field or in the dugout for 2 of the 24. So it's a special time. And as a catcher, when you look up, I didn't start thinking about it until about the 7th inning, and you're like, oh, man, Phil Humber's throwing there hasn't been anybody on base. Because you see the 0 in the hit, and then you start thinking, man, there ain't nobody been on base. So oh, we might actually do this. And you get to the ninth, and you are as nervous as I've ever been on anything I've ever done, because you do not want to put the wrong fingers down. You don't want to screw it up. And when it happens, it is just the greatest feeling of happiness and at the same time relief, because you made it through it.
I feel like Scotty Braun here. Never done it, but watching and listening to you say you don't want to put the wrong fingers down. Like last night, he was throwing curveballs that looked like some of them were like left-handed curveballs. They were going the opposite way, and it was almost like Higgy couldn't do wrong. And I have never caught a no-hitter. I've never caught a perfect game, but I have spent a ton of time with my roommate, Kyle Higashioka, and this dude, I felt like playing against him and then playing with him, it reiterated it for me. I feel like he's always there being able to throw a no-hit, call a no-hitter, catch a perfect game, because, I mean, perfect game, it's a little bit tougher, but he does such a great job of helping pitchers through lineups that he makes really good pitchers great, average pitchers really good, and there's so much credit that goes to him. But man, for Mingo to come back from his last 15 earned runs in his last 5 innings pitched. Now, granted, he gave up a 10 spot the last time in Yankee Stadium, but tonight or last night or this morning, whenever the game ended after midnight East Coast time, it was awesome, and he is such a cool thing to see.
It's only been done 24 times in Major League history. There are no hitters, and then there are perfect games. And the Yankees thumped the A's 11-0. Pitchers to throw a perfect game against the A's: Domingo Germán and Cy Young in 1904.
Wait,
Boom.
I have a question, Scott. Does it count for you?
I knew you were going to say that.
The A's?
I knew you were going to say that. AJ, can you give the A's just like a slice of credit one time? These are Major League ball players.
Come on, AJ.
Yeah,
come on.
Unbelievable.
I feel like I can get on AJ a little more today. Your voice, you're losing it a little bit, dude.
I know, dude. Listen, I'm in Nashville. The NHL draft was last night. Some of the boys were hanging around after the draft, and it got a little loud. I'm not going to lie.
Karaoke.
It got a little loud, but you know what I had? I had my phone. And I was sitting there on my phone. I had it like this, and I was watching I watched the last 5 outs of Domingo Germán in one of the honky tonks here.
It was special. Yeah, and 99 pitches, which is awesome. There was not even a conversation, which I enjoyed when you're watching and checking out social about, 117 pitches. He's still got an inning to go. What are we going to do? Obviously, you're going to have those situations pop up. We've seen guys many, many times nowadays have to leave with a no-hitter on the line. But this time around, wasn't even a question. 99 pitches to complete the 9 innings.
They would have had to have dragged him off the field. If I'm Domingo Germán and Aaron Boone comes up to me and is like, hey, you're at 90 pitches. You're in the 9th inning. Nope. Aaron, we fighting. Nope.
Slap him in the face.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Pop off,
Higgy,
baby.
If I'm Higgy, I'm absolutely just blocking Booney out or Matt Blake out, pitching coach. No shot. You're not going to talk to him about his pitch count. I don't care if he's at 103 right there. 99 pitches, but a base runner ain't one. Like, that dude absolutely dealt last night. And as the catcher, I thought Higgy in his last at-bat, I don't know if you saw his last at-bat, I thought Higgy was just going to take 3 pitches because he took 2 fastballs right down the middle. And I'm like, Higgy is so locked into this, he's not swinging. So I hope he comes on the show. I'm going to ask him this. But I thought he was just going to go 1, 2, 3, and then go back to the dugout. Didn't even care. Like, as soon as we can get Mingo back out there, don't need to get him stiff in the dugout.
Hey, listen, when Humber threw his perfect game, I had an at-bat in the 9th inning, and I swung at the first pitch. I'm like, let's hurry up because I want him back on the field. I don't want to have to make him sit any longer. I swung at the first pitch, hit a ground ball, I think, and I was so happy because I'm like, all right, we're 1 out closer to getting this thing done, so let's go, boys. There wasn't even a ball hit hard, though, was there? There wasn't even a –
Rizzo had one. Rizzo made a diving play.
He made a diving play down the line. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like a extended diving play. It was just like, a good play by Rizzo. It was a hot shot but it was wet newspapers all night. They made no good contact besides that one.
That was the Phil Humber perfect game. There wasn't a ball that was hit that we were like, oh man, that could have been a hit. It was like routine fly ball, routine ground ball, and a bunch of punchies. And those are the ones you like. Now,
Was his slider working that night? Is that?
I mean, listen, nobody knows Phil Humber for anything other than throwing a perfect game, right? And
I know Phil.
well, I mean, yes, but he's a great dude. But I mean, also now you talk about it, and we talked about Domingo Germán. I mean, 8 2/3. We went with you, Darvish, and a ground ball went through his legs for a base hit. Marwin Gonzalez. I still hate you for it. So you go that far, and you get one, and then you go that far and you lose one, and the losing one still. I mean, it still bothers me to this day. I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that we went that far, and they had no chance, and Marwin Gonzalez ground ball up the middle, base hit, screw off.
That's right. So many things have to go right for you to pull something like this off. So great comments too right now from our crowd. First off, Justin goes, congrats to Germán. Oakland may be a minor league team, yet don't forget Manoah gave up 11 earned runs to teenagers.
I mean, why are we picking on poor Alek Manoah?
No, he's just trying to say, like, this. It's real. It's real. It's not easy to throw a perfect game against anyone.
Would you have been the only catcher to have caught 2 perfect games?
No, Ron Hassey, I think. There's somebody that caught 2.
Ron Hassey. He called the backdoor slider from Eckersley that Gibson hit out when he was with the A's.
But anyway. I think he's the only guy that catch 2.
That's awesome. That is a feat. Like, I can't stand blowing AJ up, but to be able to catch a perfect game, while AJ would say, it's kind of it's kind of luck. It's kind of, you don't know who's going to throw one. To be in those situations twice in your big league career, 1, longevity, 2, and more importantly, you know what you're doing out there. Yes, you have a pitcher that's absolutely filthy, but you know what you're doing out there. Veritex got 4 no-hitters. Buster Posey's 3. Carlos Ruiz 4. Like, you don't just happen upon those things. John Jaso doesn't normally call a very good game, but he caught Felix Hernandez's. Guys find when you get into multiple opportunities, no hitters, perfect games, that means you're legit. And I think Higgy's legit.
I also think that life events, major life events, whether it's a newborn or the loss of someone you're close with, can really show how a player responds. And sometimes you can see that it can devastate them, and other times you can see that it can motivate them and focus them. So we'll get into that more later on in the show, but props to Germán, because the other thing is he wasn't a lock to make the starting rotation out of spring training, and he was maybe 1 or 2 bad starts away from getting booted from the rotation, at least temporarily, if you looked at what he was doing recently. And even still, after what he did yesterday, his ERA is north of 5 on the year. So
yes. Yeah, they talked about that. They talked about that at the beginning of the game. They said, hey.
And the end. Yep.
And the end. They brought it back up at the end, but they said, hey, Rodon is getting closer, possibly like July 5th. His spot might be the one. It's really about who's doing the best, and Rodon could fit in. And I think this probably gets him a few more starts past Rodon coming back. But hey, we'll see.
Yeah, I think he's earned it. So.
Your move, Booney.
Exactly. He popped off. Visit cookiepopcandypop.com and enter code foulball for 20% off. Or you can just go to Kratzy's spot and pick up a bag right behind it. Cookiepopcandypop.com.
Come on over. We got extra.
Yeah. Guests today, by the way, Russ Dorsey's going to join us with more on this story. Whit Merrifield with a little update on his golf tournament and a few other things Jays-wise. And Britt Ghiroli will join us as well for more on Buck Showalter's Mets and the Steve Cohen press conference and her great story about potentially the first female umpire coming to Major League Baseball quite soon. So let's kick it to our poll question, because you kind of brought it up already. Which pitcher will throw the next perfect game? It's not like you just look at the top pitchers in the sport and go, okay, that's who's going to get it done. Now, I think the chances are a little higher for a pitcher like that. Yeah, I think they are.
Not.
No, I think they are.
They're not.
Okay, there
Greg
are some.
Maddux, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine never threw a no-hitter.
I understand, but I also think nowadays it's different, and we can get into it more. Scan the QR code or watchstadium.com/foul territory. Waka, Gallen, Otani, Alcantara, or Rando are your options. You have to be able to go deep into a game. If you're a 5 and dive, you're never getting a perfect game. Agreed?
You would have said that about Domingo Germán, and look what he did.
He's not a 5 and dive, though. Be right back.
I love it.
Today is June 29th, and here's what happened on this day in baseball history. In 1941, Joe DiMaggio picked up hits in both ends of a doubleheader to break the MLB record for longest hit streak. In the 6th inning of the first game, DiMaggio singles, tying George Sisler's American League record of 41 consecutive games with a hit. But DiMaggio didn't stop there. In the nightcap, he hits a 7th inning single off Walt Masterson, extending the record to 42 games. His record would be set at an incredible 56 games, which stands to this day. Flash forward to 1961, and Willie Mays has a day to remember. He crushes 3 home runs in a game against Philadelphia, including a decisive 10th inning shot that seals an 8-7 victory. This feat makes Mays the 4th major league player to hit 3 or more home runs twice in one season. Mays ended his illustrious career with 660 home runs, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1979. Jump ahead to June 29, 1990, a day of double triumph. Oakland's Dave Stewart and the Dodgers' Fernando Valenzuela both throw no-hitters on the same day. Stewart shuts out the Blue Jays in a 5-0 victory, and Valenzuela follows suit a few hours later, blanking the Cardinals 6-0. Fast forward to 1995, and Dodgers sensation Hideo Nomo, who struck out 13 Colorado Rockies in a 3-0 victory. With that performance, Nomo tallied 50 strikeouts in 4 games, breaking a Los Angeles record of 49 Ks over a 4-game stretch. And now, back to foul territory.
How we doing? Back on Stadium, Pierzynski, Kratz, I'm Braun, and Russ Dorsey hanging out with us for the next 10-ish minutes. Russ, how you doing? Did you enjoy Domingo Germán's masterpiece last night?
Yeah, it was up late and like everybody else, and you get the notification that somebody's throwing a perfecto, and so then you turn the game on, and guy has 93 pitches going into the 9th inning, and you're like, okay, he could really get this done. And then he does it. And it's always so cool to see history in baseball. I think it's one of the best parts about the sport. So love watching it. Love seeing a guy be able to do that. And the other factors, guy gave up 15 earned runs the 2 previous starts. And so to see him have the best night of his career, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. That's right. I guess that sums it up, Russ. It's pretty cool. It's pretty darn cool to throw a perfect game. Right. I mean, think about the odds, and we've already asked the poll question, and Scott keeps arguing that, oh, you're an ace, you got a better chance to throw a perfect game. But yeah, they might have better stuff, but look at the list of guys who've done it. I mean, Phil Humber, Dallas Braden. I mean, yeah, there's Roy Halladay and Felix Hernandez, but then you can throw Domingo Germán on that list. It's just completely random, completely luck, and everything lines up. And for 27 outs, you're the man. And the 24 people that have done it, congratulations. It's an awesome accomplishment.
Yeah, I think when you look at the fact that it had been 13 years since somebody had thrown a perfect game in the big leagues. I don't like the argument that some people are out there making, oh, it's the Oakland A's. Well, there's been terrible teams in baseball who haven't gotten no hit for the last 13 years. So to look at that lineup and say, well, I mean, it's the A's. No, like you still have to go out and get guys out. That team is trying to compete every night just like everybody else. And so sometimes you just got to tip your hat to a guy that had everything working in the start.
Do you think that the next perfect game will be from, I'll give you options, Shohei Ohtani, Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, Michael Wacha, or the field? In the poll we have Rando.
Oh, man. I mean, you look at the names of the guys who had recently thrown ones, like you look at Philip Humber, right? You look at Dallas Braden, and those aren't the biggest name guys, kind of just journeymen in baseball. So if I have to pick somebody, I'm probably taking the field, not because I don't think the guys that you mentioned, Scott, aren't amazing. They are. And you got to be a horse, like you guys mentioned before the break, to get through a perfect game. But I'm probably going to take the field because sometimes it's not the big names guys that do something like that.
I'm not saying it has to be the top name in the sport, but here's my one thing. Your percentage chance is still higher based on not just stuff, but my big thing nowadays, Russ, is longevity. Yeah. I just think at least 3/4 of the league is, if not more, starter-wise, is never going to sniff the 8th inning. Never going to sniff the 8th inning, no matter basically what they do. unless a team is swinging at every single pitch. AJ, you
Domingo
disagree?
Domingo Germán.
Domingo Germán has gone into game. He's not 5 and dive. Is he 5 and dive?
No,
Am I missing something?
No. He got pulled out. He got pulled out of a couple of games in like the 8th inning with like 85, 90 pitches. So he's been going deep with his pitches.
But look at the pitch counts, though. The problem is not that they can't go 8 or 9 innings. The problem is every kid throws 100 pitches in 5 innings because everything is max effort. That's the problem. It's not about they can't do it. They can't do it because they're maxed out on pitches at 105 innings because they strike out 10 and they walk 6 and they give up 5 hits and they're at 100 pitches and they're like, I did my job. I went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. Let's go, bullpen, cover the last 12 outs.
But Russ, that's why I think Alcantara's save, for example, is more likely than most because the dude can be economical when he's feeling it.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely a guy that would rather have a complete game with 4 strikeouts than go 6 innings with 13 or 14 strikeouts. So the being economical with your pitch count is definitely a big part of it. And that's why you look at Domingo Germán last night, 93 pitches going into the ninth, and you're like, okay, yeah, he definitely gets a shot to close this thing out. And even if he was at 100, 105 pitches, I imagine that Aaron Boone would have given him a shot to finish that thing out. So, yeah, I think that plot probably plays a bigger factor, the pitch count, than anything else.
Nothing against the A's, but do you think this was diminished a little bit or not seen as much because it was in Oakland? Obviously, we have video, all that stuff, but do you feel like if this was I guess nothing in the AL Central or NL Central either, but maybe I'm being picky. It was the Yankees, so I guess it should be a big thing, but was it diminished because it was in Oakland?
Yeah, look, it was late here in Chicago when I was watching that game. And so imagine a lot of people aren't staying up to watch A's baseball right now. No disrespect to those guys. But yeah, I think you probably had a lot of people wake up this morning like, oh man, somebody threw a perfecto last night. And we're a little surprised by that. But I think it's probably less about it being the A's, more about it being a West Coast game. Like if this happened against the Seattle Mariners, I think you have the same type of thing where you wake up this morning, if you live in New York or you live in Florida, if you live in Atlanta, and go, oh, wow, like there was a perfect game in baseball last night.
Well, listen, I don't care where it is. It's the Yankees, and it was a perfect game. There's been 24 of them in the history of the game, so I don't care. People are going to talk about it, and they deservedly should. So, I mean, again, I don't care where you pitch. And I'm tired of Scott saying the A's games don't count because they're not. I'm tired of that narrative that he always throws out there. Oh, the Rays beat the A's. The Yankees threw a perfect game against the A's. Remember, the A's, for a long time, it was the Rays that kept getting no hit. And they were good. Remember Dallas Braden threw the perfect game. It was like Mark Burley's perfect game was against the Rays. So and they were good at the time. So, it doesn't matter who you're pitching against. I honestly think you could take a major league starter and throw them against a minor league team, and they would have a hard time doing this. And you could almost throw some college teams in there, and big league starters would have a hard time throwing perfect games. So I don't care who it was against. It's still a great accomplishment.
Yeah, you have to have your best day, and then you still need a little bit of luck to help you out. Like it's not just, oh, well, this guy's great, this team is terrible. It doesn't work that way in the sport like baseball where you can bloop something over the second baseman's head, base hit. You could have a swinging bunt, something dribbles down the line, base hit. Like there's so many things that have to go right to even give yourself a chance to have that 3 outs in the ninth to get something like that done. I'm with you, AJ. Like I just don't think it's something where you can look at the opponent and just say, well, they're bums.
Cliff Lee one time said, he goes, well, I'm probably never going to throw a no-hitter because I'm not trying for strikeouts. I'm trying to finish the game. And I think that's why I would be on AJ's side saying Alcantara's probably not going to get one because he's worried about – now, if it's a 1-0 game the whole time, he's just worried about pounding the strike zone. When that happens, guys get their knocks. Guys get their little dribblers, so it's a little bit tougher. That's what was amazing about Doc throwing a no-hitter and a perfect game, but his no-hitter was a 1-0 game in Miami.
No, that's something I was going to ask you guys because, like, guys execute pitches every night in the big leagues, and guys find some way to get some type of barrel on it. That doesn't mean you messed up. Like, hey, guys are going to get hits. And so you look at the accomplishment that a no-hitter is, let alone a perfect game, and you said, man, like that is – there's only been 24 in the history of Major League Baseball. Like, the game's been around for a long time. And the fact that there's only 24 guys that have been able to do that, it speaks to how amazing a night like that is.
Also, can we stop throwing them, please? Because I've seen 2 of them. I want my percentage to stay low. So no more. I'm putting a ban on perfect games.
Yeah, they're really watered down.
Exactly. I mean,
They're really watered down.
seeing 2 in person of 23 sounds better than seeing 2 of 24. I don't know why.
Every perfecto makes the rare memorabilia that you have connected to yours, AJ, a little less valuable.
See, quit being selfish, Scott.
A little less valuable.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Makes
Me,
Scott smile.
if it was up to me, we wouldn't have counted last night because it's Oakland.
Oh, good point.
I had your back, dude.
Scott,
for once.
asterisk on the perfect game, Russ.
Thank you.
Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to get some headlines? That'll get picked up everywhere. Pierzynski says asterisk on last night's perfect
You said
game.
it. You said it. I didn't say it.
Anyway, I want to get your take, Russ, on the press conference from Steve Cohen yesterday. We're going to cover this a couple times during this show.
Yeah.
For me, it was cool that he spoke to the media. So I want to mostly applaud him, and he's one of my favorite owners because he talks, he tweets, he spends, he takes care of people. Like, he is becoming one of the, faces of ownership in baseball that you would want to rally around because there's so many assholes. So the other side of me, though, says, just like the sports analyst, boring. He didn't say anything. I don't think it needed to be like this whole drawn up event. I think he could have just been like, yeah, I'm going to swing by the ballpark. I'll be on the field, do a little scrum, and I'll tell you everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Right?
No, I'm with you. I think, and as a reporter, you hear guys talk all the time. You hear managers talk. You hear front office execs talk. Honesty is so underrated when it comes to talking to fan bases. And I think sometimes fan bases just want honesty, right? Like if Steve Cohen came out there and just said, hey, everything's going to be okay. We're going to buy at the deadline. We're going to spend, throw money at our problems. I think Mets fans would have looked at it and said, are you not watching the same games we are? I think there is a little bit of respect that you get, and you give yourself benefit of the doubt by being honest and saying, look, I've watched the same baseball you watched. We threw money at our problems this offseason. It has not worked out. We have not produced. And if we keep playing baseball like this, we're going to be sellers at the deadline, no matter how much money we have.
The only big thing I took out of it was that he kind of reaffirmed that Billy Epler's not going to be the head honcho there. Like we are looking, paging president of baseball ops candidates, which for the most part is David Stearns. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, sure. You could throw Theo, to me, is more of like a dark horse candidate, Theo Epstein. This has David Stearns written all over it. Like, to me, the only real big thing I took out of that was because he talked about how they're still like searching for a president of baseball ops, and Stearns like stepped away for a year. I mean, this is a layup. Like, it was like, everyone, don't worry. Even though this season might be a disaster, David Stearns has done a great job with the Brewers for like a decade. He'll come rescue us by the offseason.
Yeah, like that was a big thing that said I had it written down here. And if you're Billy Epler, you had an opportunity to kind of be the guy, be the decision maker, and now you're going to be the number 2 in that front office. Doesn't mean you won't have a voice, but you won't have the voice. And so you're right, Scott. You look at David Stearns, who's been linked to that organization for some time now. You think about Billy Beane, like, does he leave Oakland and come to the Mets? And Jeff Lunau's been out there for a long time. You got Mike Hill, who's in working for MLB right now. Another guy, obviously Theo's name gets thrown into that mix. I don't know if Theo necessarily wants to do that right now, but he's always going to have his name mentioned. Maybe a guy like an Eric Neander down in Tampa with the Rays, who's done a great job down there. But similar to his predecessor and Andrew Freeman, sometimes you look at that big job and say, okay, I can go to New York, big market team, have an ownership group that wants to spend money. Maybe that could be something that's appealing.
Who's the best team in baseball right now?
I'm going to say it's the Atlanta Braves, because I look at what the Braves have been able to do over their last 50 games. They're 33-17, right? I know the Rays still have the best record in baseball when you look at wins and everything like that. But over the last 50 games, they've been closer to 500. And so I look at the Braves and I say, with that lineup rolling the way they have right now, they still don't even have Max Fried back. They don't have Kyle Wright back. And they're a team showing that they're going to be aggressive at the deadline over the last decade or so. That's a team where I look at them just playing the way they are. I look at their division, and I don't see anybody that can kind of get in their way and throw off their rhythm. So for my money, I'm taking the Braves right now.
Well, the Braves are good not only this year, they're going to be good for a long time because they got all those dudes locked up for 5, 6, 7 years. So if you like Braves and you're a Braves fan, no better time right now. Let's go to the game I'm doing this weekend, Russ, in Chicago. Are you going to be in Wrigley this weekend on Saturday?
I'm going to be coming back from New York on Saturday. But if you're saying that you're buying dinner on Saturday, I will make sure I'm back in the 708.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll buy you in the press box up there. I'll buy you some of that potato salad they have up there in Wrigley and the hot dog. So, they got free ice cream, though, which is nice. So that's a good start. So my question is, the Guardians are in first place for us. And they haven't been where we thought they'd be, but look where they are now. Their record isn't what we thought it would be. They're in first place, and the Twins had it for so long, and the Twins have just collapsed offensively, right? The Guardians are coming, and then you look at the other team in that game, the Cubs, and they've kind of fallen apart too, I guess would be a good word. They kind of got hot. Now they're kind of coming back down. So can the Guardians hold on and win the AL Central, and can the Cubs get it turned around and make a race in the NL Central?
All right, yeah, I look at the Guardians, and they were my pick to win the Central when the year started. And then the guys that had played so well for them last year, obviously you know what Jose Ramirez is going to do for you in that lineup. But Josh Naylor had a huge year for them last year. He got off to a slow start. Then you look at Andres Jimenez, right, who they gave a big contract extension to before the year started. He was an all-star at second base last year. He was off to a extremely cold start in that lineup. And then you look at the starting pitching that has always been good. It's the thing that you can always rely that Cleveland's going to be able to do. And those guys basically had to hold it up. And so without being able to score runs, you're not going to win a lot of games. And so, they kind of fell to the middle of the pack. But you look at where they are now, they are having a better month of June. They're, bring up Bo Naylor. He's been a spark plug for them. You're getting a little bit better production out of Andres Jimenez. If you can get anything out of Josh Bell with some thump in that lineup, and he's hit some balls out of the ballpark over the last couple of weeks or so, now you're feeling good. Like you look at their power production, that's where I'm concerned. Like the Atlanta Braves have 55 homers in the month of June alone. Cleveland has 53 on the year. So that's going to have to turn around, and you got to be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark if you want to win. I know with Cleveland, they've been able to win despite that over the last couple of years, but it's always going to be about the offense. And I think you got to be able to get Tristan McKenzie back healthy, right? That's going to be a guy that's on the shelf for a while with some elbow inflammation. But if you can get him back healthy with the rotation that they have, I feel confident. On the other side, you talk about the Cubs, they're only 3.5 games out, right? You look at their division, it's very similar to the AL Central where the Reds are sitting atop that division. I don't think anybody thought the Reds were going to be there. And so they made additions. They added this offseason. And so why not the Cubs, right? They're the team that has the big money in that division. They haven't spent a ton over the last couple of years, but they have an opportunity, right? They're in earshot of a lead in the NL Central. So why not the Cubs?
I like it. Russ, great to see you. Can't wait to hear about your press box dinner experience with Pierzynski this weekend.
Anthony Bavetz.
Oh, okay.
Okay. AJ?
You piqued his interest.
I know that place.
You'd pay for that, AJ?
I don't know I probably won't, but Russ will.
You seen AJ's arms?
I'd be honored.
I
would be honored if
he's a Gator fan because of his Gator arms.
I would be honored if I was allowed to buy Russ Dorsey dinner some night. I would be honored.
Wow.
I can barely wave to you, Russ.
Cheers, Russ. We'll talk to you next week, dude. Epic. When we swing back, we will show you the poll results to our first question because obviously I know when the next perfect game is going to be because they happen so frequently. We'll continue to bring down the value of AJ's perfect game memorabilia when we swing back. And also we'll charge the mound and talk about who we think is the best team in baseball.
I'm just thinking about how so many people want Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg to do a celebrity boxing match or something. If I came to you and I was like, all right, listen, this is going to make 50 mil. It's 15 for each of you and 20 goes to an incredible charity. 3 rounds. You down?
How much mil?
15.
15 mil each. Oh, there's no way you raise that much. I just did the Special Forces show last year for like nothing. I got my ass kicked. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was wondering about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I did the special. I mean, it was funny. I was like thinking, I'm going to do this because, my dad was in the Army and he was drafted for Korea, and it was just kind of a tribute thing. And then when I started watching the show, I said, you know what, it's going to be tough. So 15, yeah. If we do 15, yeah, he would. If he kicks my ass, I kick his ass for 15 million. Yeah, I mean, I'm down with that. Yeah, but it ain't going to happen. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see two old. No one wants to see two old guys roll around in the ring.
I do.
For 15 million?
Hell yeah.
Dude, they're saying Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg would make millions and millions and millions. Those guys are.
They have that money in their ashtray in their car. They have that money like in their sofa, in their sofa.
Dude,
cushion.
you're telling me that nobody in New York, if you put this thing in Madison Square Garden, the Mets fans, and
dude,
the
it would be
Yankee
so
fans,
lame though. Two old, like out of shape dudes rolling around.
That's why it would be awesome, because you guys would both throw one punch and then you'd be like on each other.
They trained for a few months. These dudes are pros. You know how they'd be. They'd go nuts for a few months.
Oh,
yeah. Dude, I just got new teeth. I don't want
to. I know a great mouth guard guy. You're good.
Foul territory back on Stadium, and it's Kratz, Pierzynski, and Braun trying to figure out who the next perfect game thrower is going to be. It's a good race right now. It's not like others running away with it, and I thought it would. Didn't you?
It should.
People are just clicking. They're not thinking about it.
No, everyone's like, oh, Shohei's so perfect. He's going to throw a perfect game. But Shohei doesn't go deep enough in the games, I don't think. His pitch count, he's a pitch count high guy.
Waka's gotten like some pretty good juice, and like currently it looks like and then like Alcantara's floating around there too. I do think Sandy's got what it takes.
No, those too many strikes, those too many balls that people can hit. You got to be, for me, you always have to be a fly ball guy with strikeouts, because if Sandy gives up so many ground balls, eventually one's going to find a hole, take a bad hop. Something, so it's just hard for those guys. That's why, like for me, like a Greg Maddux, that's why he probably never threw one. Yeah, he could keep his pitch count down, but he threw so many strikes, dudes could get hits off of him because there was too many strikes.
He was good with it. He was good with giving up a hit. He gives up one hit on the first pitch, and in two pitches later, he could have 2 outs. 3 pitches, 2 out. Because he's always throwing ground balls. He's always mixing it and everything. If I were to pick somebody from that list, even though I said Waka, so I thought that was a good one to have, but Shohei with his splitter is up there, because that's a pitch that people they'll go a whole game just swinging at. Just like Mingo's last night, that curveball thing that he's throwing, he kind of tweaked it from last year to this year, and it's been giving him a ton of success. They were just swinging. They were swinging over it all the way till the 8th inning. It was crazy.
Kodai Senga, if he has a day where he's locating.
Has he gone past 7 innings yet?
No, that's what I'm saying, because the walk
pitch count
number is high, the pitch count.
The ghost fork.
But the ghost fork is tough to.
It'll have to be in Citi Field, because he can't pitch on the road for shit.
That's fine. He gets half his starts there usually, about half his starts.
He's much better at Citi Field.
Yes, he is significantly better there.
The wind picks up the airplanes, and it picks up the knuckleball and the ghost fork.
Also, those flights are tough, apparently. Didn't he talk about that?
He said he didn't like flying. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Same with Wade Miley. Brew Crew Territory's out right now. Check it out. Let's charge the mound. I want to get to at least 2 here if we can. Patrick Corbin's 33 years old and actually put together a little 7 scoreless. The main thing that I want to talk about out of this is the Nationals, of course, are in rebuild mode. They're not going anywhere. Patrick Corbin's making, $35 million next season still, too. You're on the hook for one more. I actually think there could be a trade.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Let me explain something that you're capable of doing. It's called buying down most of the money and then trading for a prospect. Because suddenly, if Patrick Corbin costs a team $1 million as a starter, and there are not many starters available, and every team needs one, does he get dealt?
So you're telling me the Nationals next year are going to eat $34 million?
They're going to eat $70 million because they ain't Strasburg ain't playing. I don't see them eating $70 million in 2 pitchers.
I'll say this about Corbin. He struggled at the beginning of last year. He struggled last year. He struggled at the beginning of this year. That dude is a soldier, though. You know why? Because he takes the ball every damn fit day and he goes out and he throws the ball, which is awesome. That deserves something no matter what. I don't care what you say about the guy, but he takes the ball every fit day. He pitches, and he's on a bad team, but he's doing the best he can. And I'm sure there's leadership. And I guarantee you Davey Martinez is like, please don't trade him because I need one veteran starter out there.
Yep, and that's all, and that's what you're getting. I mean, since 2016, 15, he only made 16 starts. 13, he made 32 of 32. He has gone all his starts since 2016. That's impressive, and there's a value in that. The value might be coupled with a high 4 ERA, but he's not going to be a guy that you're picking up for your playoff team going, okay, he's going to be our second guy out of the bullpen, second guy in the rotation. No. So that value, they're going to have to buy down a ton of that money, maybe even all that money. But no, Davey Martinez wants to keep him.
I could see it. Also, remember Corbin in the playoffs when he came out of the bullpen? Looked pretty good.
Got him a World Series.
Yeah. Useful.
Worth it. Whole contract's worth it. Got him a World Series.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible for him to be dealt. Because if you're a rebuilding team, why does it even matter? You need to get the value out of him on the field. Why does that matter? Yeah, sure. It's important to eat innings for a young staff, but it's more important to acquire prospects for a team that is in tank mode right now. So, and maybe you get a team to pay a few $1 million. Would you right now, if Patrick Corbin was a free agent, okay? And I know it's exactly halfway through the season. So we'll split whatever the number is in half, right? Prorated. Would you pay $5 million for Patrick Corbin knowing how few starters are available?
Yes.
Yeah, but they're going to eat $30 million? You better get a damn good prospect back, or 2 or 3. And I don't know if teams are going to be willing to give that up for him.
There are teams that buy out deals, buy out Chris Davis. There are Albert Pujols got bought out. Corbin, I think at times you looked at him and said, yeah, they might buy him out.
Yeah, but they need somebody to pitch, and he pitches every 5th day. So I give that.
And he goes out there, and he's an example for those young guys, Mackenzie Gore. There's a value to that, and where that is in the realm of $5 million and $35 million, I don't know, but there's a value to it.
I would chop him around and just see what happens. We'll see. I think his name's going to pop up. I'm just saying. I haven't seen his name pop up much, but I think it will pop up. Who's the best team in baseball right now?
Atlanta, for me. Atlanta, because Tampa. The problem with Tampa for me is they might have a better record. The pitching they have, their starters, they're not as good as the Braves starters when they're healthy. If you throw in Fried and you throw in Wright and you throw in Soroka ever comes back, and then the young kids they have with Morton and Smith Schwaller and Elder and Dodd and all these guys they have, and then their lineup to me is just stupid. I mean, they got 2 great catchers, they got a great first baseman, they got a great second baseman, they got a great shortstop, they got a great third baseman, they got an unbelievable right fielder who's probably the MVP. Michael Harris is coming on. Rosario's been great. And for the Rays, they're just really good at mixing and matching, and they're good. But over the long haul, the Braves are a better team for me.
For sure. I think I have to pick somebody else. So out of those 2, I feel like out of those 2 teams, they're leaps and bounds over everybody. And I think the Braves are that much better than the Rays, just in general, because of they're like, they don't do tricks. They just come at you and they're like, oh, we're going to hit the ball 450 feet and we're going to throw strikes. It doesn't matter if we call up guys from our farm system or if it's Max Fried who's coming off the IL and throwing strike. Like, these guys do so much in so many different ways. But after those 2, I love the Rangers. I love watching them play. I know they're on a little skid right now. I love it. I think they're like 1 for the last 4 games they've won, but they're intriguing to me out of the West if the Astros can't figure this out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fight for Texas, though. I mean, they're still a young team that's building their way back up. A lot of injuries in that starting staff in the past. A lot of medical history with most of the guys in that starting staff. No, you're shaking your head, AJ.
No, I don't know that it's going to be as big of a fight as you're saying right now, because, I mean, I'm looking at the standings. Texas has a 6-game lead over Houston and LA, the Angels. And Houston's starting rotation's banged up. Their pitching's banged up. Their position players are banged up. Anaheim, LA Angels.
I think the Rangers and Orioles are right next to each other as far as like teams that are cool to watch and exciting. But the Braves and the Rays are just
Reds. Throw the Reds in for exciting too.
Yeah,
exciting, but another tier down.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But excitement factor: Reds, Orioles, Rangers, absolutely.
Yes, teams we haven't seen do stuff in a while. It's fun. I like it. Next poll question: in their prime, because it's all about pitching today, which pitcher would you choose to start Game 7 of the World Series? Randy Johnson, Dwight Gooden, Pedro Martinez, Curt Schilling, or Jack Morris? Think about it. QR code on the screen. Also, you can hit up Stadium, watchstadium.com/foul territory. Get involved. We'll pick some winners from tonight's game coming up next.
Scenes from around Major League Baseball from yesterday. And now, back to foul territory.
Back on Stadium. We'll get to poll results coming up in just a sec. If you haven't voted yet, which I haven't, I'm about to. Game 7, who's your starting pitcher? You know, looking at some recent guys. Think about it. Out of the options that we gave you, we didn't give you other this time. Just pick. Okay, we give you other most of the time. BetMGM locks for Thursday. First rewind. Oof, I'm cold right now. The Rays freaking came back, and dude, I was 5 feet away from a Jose Siri 2-run dinger. They blew up in the 9th inning. They still won. I got hit for my run line selection. Kratzy, Snell was on fire with the punch outs again, but Keller didn't get up to you for your 6th.
I was off. I was off. I was saying yesterday Snell might be because the Pirates put the ball in play, but his changeup was filthy yesterday. And Keller came up one strikeout short, and I lost it on a Christian Vasquez. Was it Christian Vasquez? No. Anyway, no, it was freaking Hedges. Hedges dropped an 0-2 strikeout to Xander Bogaerts. That's who it was. Xander Bogaerts 0-2, foul tip, dropped it. That would have been my sixth strikeout.
Oh, yeah.
Womp, womp.
Yeah, because you can control if you catch foul tips. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard people say to you. Oh, way to hang on to that foul tip. Yeah, because I moved my glove in a millisecond to catch a foul tip. That's some
I didn't open my eyes. Sorry.
Yeah, bad take.
We're all up, so if you like money, we're still doing quite well. So your BetMGM locks for Thursday. We all have same game parlays. We are now obsessed with same game parlays. So AJ, you start with yours.
No, let's let Kratz go first because I think his is more interesting since we basically
Yours
No, he's going to go first because then I can play off of him.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Mine is Jesus Luzardo versus Lucy and AJ's guy, Brian Baggio, in the Marlins and Red Sox game. I'm getting plus 115 because I have Jesus striking out 4 guys and Baggio striking out 5. I'm a man of the people. And as AJ goes, he's a little bit more risk taker. So I'm not as much of a risk taker, but I'll take the plus 115. Neither guy, Baggio has only 2 under 5 the entire season. Only 2 games under 5. And Luzardo has only 1 under 5 strikeouts all season. So put it big. Whatever you go with, mine or AJ's, put it big.
Wow. Okay. Understood. But so I have the same exact 2. And no, we don't collaborate on this before we pick them. We don't even talk about it. We just did this. So I have Luzardo 5 punchies and Baggio 5 punchies. The funny part is, Kratz, so yours unless the line moved, it was at plus 110. For that 1 strikeout from Jesus Luzardo, mine's at plus 145. So that 1 strikeout is worth $30 to $35 on your bet. So let's go, Jesus. Let's go, Baggio, and get those punch outs. Need some swings and misses in the Red Sox Marlins game.
Yep.
That's cute though. You guys are so close together. You guys will be texting each other all night. Like, come on, one more K. Come on.
We have been doing that, yes.
Yeah, we all do that.
How many times are you gonna, bet on the Padres and have them disappoint you? I just want to know.
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, he bets against the Pirates.
I fade the Pirates. Yeah, Padres I just mix in here and there. I didn't bet on the Padres last night. I bet on the Rays. I picked Rays D-backs.
You have a heavy Padre lean.
Yeah, well, you know what I do with the Padres sometimes? I bet the over because their offense does explode and give you no sweat bets from time to time. So I will give them that. I've done well with the over with the Pods in games that they've been involved in. For me, I obviously want to hit the Dodgers-Rockies game, but I can't go money line. I can't go run line. The run line's 2.5. But I can do an SGP, so a same-game parlay with Emmett Sheehan, who I was like, I like his K-prop against Colorado. There's some swing and miss there. So I'll take at least 4 strikeouts for him, and then I'll put the Dodgers money line in to go to plus a hundo. Because if you go Dodgers money line without it, you're at minus like 2 something. So I'll SGP and work in a little strikeout prop. Thank you very much. We'll see how we do. Good luck to everyone on their bets.
What worries me about this whole thing, though? It's not the fact that Erik and I have basically the same bet. The problem I have is that Erik's wearing a Yankee shirt and he has a Phillies hat on in that video in the picture on the screen. So I'm like, man, what is this bad? Baseball God's going to get us because of this or what?
Yeah, it's Northeast baseball. It's fan bases that like to give every player a hard time. I think it's really in the same theme and category, so I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Hey, the bonus code to use these days, it's just FOUL, FOUL. Sign up and deposit into your newly created account and download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS, Android, or at BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. And if that bet does lose, those bonus bets are available once the wager is settled. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Do we have poll results? Yes, we do. For Game 7, you guys pick first. Who's your pitcher out of these wonderful arms that we gave as options?
I'm going Jack Morris. He did it. Against the Braves, 91. He did it. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Jack Morris, 10 innings, shutout, 1-0. Gene Larkin, base hit to left field. Twins win 1-0 against the Braves and Smoltz. But I'm going Jack Morris because he did it more than one time.
Randy Johansson. He also did it. He went out there and I think it was on like 3 minutes rest too. Like him and Schilling shut it down for the boys. But I say Randy Johnson, just the intimidation factor, which goes down a little bit in the playoffs. Like you're not intimidated by, but this dude is in his prime was the question. And that dude was filthy. He was always over K-propping it.
Pedro's winning by a landslide. Pedro's close to 50%, and the rest are pretty much split up. Randy's in 2. He's in the 20s. I go Randy too. Also, I think whose game translates the best, whose stuff to right now? Don't you think Randy Johnson in his prime would just be awful for hitters because the velocity was there? The split?
Jack and his split, man. That split don't go away. Yeah.
Yeah, but what was Jack's velo?
I mean, I don't know. They didn't have a radar gun back then.
I'm going Randy.
They had a stopwatch in there. Remember the Bob Feller where he's riding a motorcycle and throwing a ball, and they're like,
and he threw, he
threw it against the motorcycle.
Yeah.
I think you got a 6'10" lefty throwing 100 with
I think that always plays. I think that always plays.
Yeah. Once he figured out where it's going to. I'll give it to Randy on that one. All right, so hour number 2 coming up. We'll say goodbye on Stadium in 30 seconds and just letting you know. Guest list. Brittany Ghiroli will join us during the second hour to go over the story about a female umpire that could be coming to Major League Baseball very soon. Britt also has been tweeting all day about the Mets. She has some sources telling her about Buck Showalter and if he's lost the clubhouse or not. And then Whit Merrifield from the Toronto Blue Jays will join us. I want to know if he's an all-star. So we'll see you on Foul Territory's YouTube channel now.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hour 2 FT live on a Thursday. Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, let's run it. And a reminder, who's joining us tomorrow?
Shohei?
Yes, Shohei Ohtani.
Patrick Sandoval.
You've got the right team. Todd Frazier is joining us tomorrow. That's the first correct answer that we've gotten. Correct answer number 2, Jersey's finest, Mike Trout, at around 2:30 Eastern time, live right inside this very YouTube channel. What should we ask him?
Everything.
Give me one.
Is he getting traded?
Is he getting traded? People want to know where Ohtani's signing.
Yeah,
they're like, "Yo, do you have inside word?" I want to
I
know.
want to know, like, do him and Ohtani hang out? Do they? Can you imagine they're on the road? Let's say they're on the road, and I don't know, wherever, Oakland. They're in San Francisco. Him and Ohtani like going to get sushi and hanging out, and San Francisco, going to get some bread bowls of soup, or what? What do they do? Do they hang out? I want to know.
Does Trout play video games? Because Ohtani loves video games. Maybe those two have played some video games against each other.
I got an idea for you, Scott. You can ask him tomorrow.
I don't know if I want to waste my questions on that. I'd like to know what his recruiting pitch is like with Ohtani, because it's already started, or it should have already started. Besides, the play on the field, that's the best recruiting pitch because the dude wants to win. But for me, that's the big one. I want to know about the situation with Shohei this year and how badly it means for the entire team to try and actually bring him a little winning baseball. Not to mention Trout deserves some winning baseball too. And I feel like there were cryptic messages during the World Baseball Classic from both of them, like, this is so fucking fun. So fun. Meaningful baseball. Wow. Didn't you get those vibes from them?
I want to ask him if he would trade, his ownership or GMs that he's had.
Yes. Frustrating.
And I want to spot on his golf course. Not going to lie. It's my selfish question.
Well, you know what I want to ask when Whit Merrifield joins us is if Whit wants us to personally deliver an invitation to Mike Trout for his golf tournament.
Oh.
Live on the show. Put the ultimate pressure on him. You going to say no live on the show?
I can't talk right now because we went one shot on your beard and I'm just mesmerized by it. So I'm sorry.
It is it's like one of those pictures that you like stare at and you can see the sailboat come up or the elephant. Like his beard is like.
It's like when they do the caricatures and they put the perfect beard on it, that's what it is.
Is it too perfect? Like, should it?
Too perfect.
It is? Okay.
Perfect.
Because, I mean, I fix it up once every, 7 to 10 days, but you've never said this to me before. So
it's never looked so perfect.
This is
you and Domingo today are perfect. Scott's beard and Sunday Germán.
I'm going to go back next time and say less perfect.
Less perfect.
Make it a little bushy, a little messy.
Wait, do you have someone that you don't do it yourself, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah, but I go to a different I have to go to a different person. I'm never in the same state for more than 50 seconds. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. You were in this state for a long time.
Pennsylvania, I was in there for 36 hours. Michigan before that.
It was glorious.
Tomorrow I'm in Atlantic City. We're going to Seattle soon, by the way. We'll get into that. Yeah, there's a lot of all-star activity to look forward to. But let's dive in. What are we calling this segment? Are we calling it anything or no? Is this in the weeds or hot corner? No, neither one.
Yeah.
Neither.
You're the TV star.
I'm not on TV anymore. TV's overrated. Actually, I have a replacement. Oh, it's hot corner. There we go.
Hot corner.
Sizzle. Is it coming? No. Okay. No,
we're not sizzling.
Trisha Whitaker went on a hike. This is an inside joke because I wasn't on the show. So we have footage of my replacement host. If I ever get voted off this island, this is
Did she make it? Did she make it all the way up?
Hell yeah. There you go. Good job, Trisha. Appreciate you filling in on Monday. You crushed it. Great job. That's a better job. Camelback Mountain. She also said she's never doing that again.
Did you see the video of her trying to get down though?
That's the worst.
That was she's like on her butt, like scooting down. She's like when you're a kid and you're scared of the heights and you're like,
is it too steep?
I've never done it, but I mean,
oh, you never did it? Yeah. Oh, don't give a face like I don't do stuff traveler.
Like that. You like doing touristy stuff.
Yeah, you like doing touristy nerd stuff.
Well, that would be super nerdy. That's why I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow! Fish and chips.
Did you hear about Fernando Tatis Jr. in the hotel with the fan? We have it. Let's run it. It's a dude wearing his jersey.
Did he ask for it back? Or wasn't his actual jersey?
There it is. Fernando Tatis Jr. jersey and Fernando Tatis Jr. with a sombrero hat. Why is he holding the sombrero hat in the hotel?
Maybe he was wearing it home, sleeping. Maybe he's they haven't been winning, so he's putting it in the corner. It's being punished right now. You never know what could happen.
Maybe he's respectful. Maybe he's like a gentleman. Maybe he took his hat off as he came into the. There was a woman in the elevator. He's like, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am.
I tip my
Top of the morning
sombrero to you."
ya."
Or maybe he was he at the NHL draft party with you, AJ?
No,
And he brought the sombrero.
That would have been actually epic if he would have.
Let's go.
But have you seen the one of him and Dick's Sporting Goods though?
Yes, I saw that.
He's looking at wood bats, and these kids are like peeking over the little things, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's Fernando Tatis Jr." At Dick's, looking at like the Marucci bats hanging on the wall.
It was a Victus commercial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, he's tough to miss. I mean, he's got the hair. He's usually dressed, quite flashy.
He's tall.
He's super tall. What is he, 6'5", I would say?
I don't know. Men lie about their height, so
Yeah.
he's probably like 6'1".
Well, let's get into that then right now with one of our faves. Whit Merrifield joining us on FT Live.
Yeah.
What? No, I'm
Was that
saying.
supposed
No, I'm saying.
I'm saying I'm taller than I am?
No, I'm saying you're exactly what you list yourself as. I wanted to know, how tall are you, and did you actually put the correct height down when you were asked? How does that even work? Do they ask you how tall you are, or do you get measured and then they just put it on your bio?
In 2014, 15 or something, I said I was 6'1", and we've stuck with that.
Boom.
He lies. He lies.
So is that true or not?
He's lying. Look at his face.
I'm a sneaky 6 foot, though. I am 6 foot. People don't believe me until they stand beside me. And I don't know if I'm, like, awkwardly built or whatever, but I'm a sneaky 6 foot.
You have a weird body, but that's why people look at you and they're like, "Wait a minute, you lied about your height?"
I was in AAA trying to get to the show. We had to wear our pants up, so everyone thought I was shorter than I was already. And now I got my pants up, so I look like I'm 5'8" out there. I got to put 6'1" on the board, so people trying to get to the show, man. Every little thing you can do.
Yeah, they looked at his height, right, with KC, because obviously, and this is true, it took way too long for the Royals to call you up, I'll say it. But they looked and they're like, "Oh, Merrifield's 6'1"? All right, bring his ass up. I didn't know that."
Bring his high ass up. He said that before. He's got a high ass, high butt.
Whit, so go ahead, AJ.
No, I was going to say, before we get too deep into the Blue Jays and everything going on, I have two questions for you about the College World Series. One, your dad, has he recovered yet? And two, when the fuck are you wearing your Gator jersey? Because you should have it on today.
Brady has sent it to me. It's got to be a Brady Singer jersey. So whenever he gives it to me, I'll wear it, then burn it.
Give it to charity.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Sign up for AJ.
Yeah, please. I'd love that. Yeah. There it is.
Boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Hey, Brady, Gamecocks win this weekend. You name your firstborn Whit. Already talked to Tori. She's cool with it. Do we have the reply? That's fine. When the Gators win, you can wear an old Gator jersey of mine on hole one of your little golf tournament you mentioned on Foul Territory. It might be a little big on you. Now, a lot of questions, but deal. Would he have held up his end of the bargain?
I don't know. I would have held him too. I would have always called his firstborn Whit. So, so there's that. Yeah.
It was a lopsided negotiation, though, AJ. I feel like Whit ripped him off.
You got to know who you're dealing with.
You know what?
Brady's not that smart, so you can throw the.
Hey, Whit was smart though. He went to the wife and he asked the wife, and he said she's already okay with it. So Brady couldn't say no at that point because let's be honest, at the end of the day, our wives pick the name of our kids anyways. You don't really have anything to do with it. You could say, "Oh, I want to name my kid Whit." My wife would be like, "No, that's a terrible name. We're going to name it Erik Kratz instead." It's like, okay, whatever you say, honey.
Well, the thing with Brady is Brady would have assumed that I actually did clear it with Tori. So when it was time to name the kid, he was going to say it's going to be Whit, right? And so he would just he would have assumed until the kid was born that his kid was going to be named Whit, and Tori would be like, "The heck you talking about?" So they're a great couple.
Lovely. Next up, I wanted to ask you about the golf tournament. The latest update. We have a few updates for you. Okay, so number one, you have someone raising their hand who has a Cy Young award who's looking for an invite. So let's run the clip of our buddy who has heard about it and is a better golfer actually than I thought. He apparently can smash the ball like 400 plus. So let's run Corbin Burns.
Write his handicap down. So
yes,
Whit Merrifield's tournament. Have you heard about that? Have you gotten an invitation yet?
I heard him talking about it. No, I haven't received the invite yet, but that'd be fun for sure.
We'll get. Hang on one second. Hey, Whit, Corbin Burns wants to come and take your cash, so you better invite him. I need to get you. We'll make sure the people behind the scenes here hook you guys up. You won't get an email because you're a big leaguer. The minor leaguers and the guys who aren't playing anymore, they get emails, but you'll get a cool invitation.
Your response?
This is great stuff. I didn't know Corbin was a golfer, so you hear about certain guys that play golf, and then there are a lot of guys that love golf that you don't hear about. So a lot of guys in the big leagues. So I'm actually first round of invites just went out. Didn't know Corbin was a golfer. I'm sure that everyone that we just invited is not going to be able to come. So there's a 48-man field, and I'm sure Corbin will be first in line for the next round of invites.
I live in Orlando.
You're not.
AJ, this is not about you. There's so many big leaguers that are going to be there. You can play the senior tour.
No, I'll be there. I'll just be one of the spectators.
All right, yeah. No, like I said, it's we're not too prompt at certain things during the season, so there's going to be a deadline. Like you got to RSVP by X date, or you're not coming. And so I imagine there's going to be a lot of invites sent out. And AJ, you're definitely on that email list for sure.
Let's just make sure it doesn't get lost in the email, okay, Whit?
Right.
Like it doesn't go to spam or something. I did see Russell Martin. Was he the first one to say yes, Russell Martin?
He was not the first one, but he was the first one that we put on Instagram for whatever reason. So Blue Jay, that's why.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the guy that's putting it on with me has a couple of close guys that are ex-teammates, and that's the reason. There's like 4 or 5, not ex-teammates, ex-players. There's like 4 or 5 ex-players that already have kind of have already committed, even though the first round of invites was only going to current players. We made an exception for a couple guys.
Sounds shady.
Mike Trout's joining us on the show tomorrow. Would you like us to personally re-emphasize the invite?
Invites went out, I think, 2 days ago. I don't know if they're home right now or not, but they should be getting them in a couple of days. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to tell them it's coming.
We can break the news that he's cool enough.
Yeah. I think with the Angels, I think now that Moose is over there, I think he and Moose are the 2 with the Angels that are getting one. I don't really know of anybody else that's playing. Drew Butera is on the email list. He's a coach over there now. So
Drew Butera? You're inviting Drew Butera on the email list?
My favorite Royal.
Are you kidding me, Whit?
My favorite Royal backup catcher of all time.
I'm out of here.
And he's a better pitcher too, right?
No!
Throws way harder.
I throw harder than he does.
No.
I feel like there's something wrong with my earpiece. I feel like he has a much better ride. And great hair, too. He's so good looking. Dang it.
No, that's smart on Whit's part because he's from Orlando, too. He doesn't have to pay for housing. See? That's smart. See? I get the connection.
I hope it goes to spam. That's what I'm saying. I hope it goes to spam.
Did you ever think about just throwing a token invite to Ohtani just to say that you did it, even though I'm guessing he doesn't play golf, although I guarantee if he showed up, he'd finish top 5.
He'd beat me.
Well, I actually asked him a couple years ago when Matsuyama won the Masters. I asked him if he played golf, and he said, no, not really. He said when he hits it, he said a lot of slice. So I took that as he's not much of a golfer.
I'm surprised he even he played and then decided like, oh, I'm not that good at it. Like he doesn't seem like that kind of dude, right?
Swing a golf club, that's for sure, though.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Toronto for a minute here. How are things going? And specifically, one of your boys, I know he's working through things in the minors right now, Alek Manoah. From a clubhouse perspective, because he's a big personality, do you feel that when you walk into the clubhouse, knowing, I mean, he's not hurt. Obviously, he's just working on things. He'll be back. Does it suck to not have a guy like that to horse around with?
Yeah, I mean, AK is a huge personality in the clubhouse, a guy we love having around and playing cards with, and you know, he brings that extra dimension to our team, and there's just always, it's very rare that you see somebody get to the big leagues, dominate, and continue to dominate forever, but without having some adjustments that the league either makes to him or you have to make mechanically, whatever it may be. And he's going through it. He's going to he's having to make those adjustments that you know we've all had to make, and he being such a force that he's been in the league, it's very very much under a microscope, everything that he does, which cannot be easy to do. I don't know what that's like. I don't think many people do know what that's like. That the first time you fail, you got thousands of people being like, "What's going on? What's the matter? Why aren't you competing for a Cy Young again?" You know, so that can't be easy. And he's down in Florida and correcting some stuff, and looking forward to having him back because we need him.
You don't see it now because he's down in Florida and he's, you know, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. But when he was going through it in the big leagues, did you see a bunch of people like in the clubhouse panicking, like, "Oh, we got to figure this out. We got to try this"? What did it look like in there from the coach's standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not privy to a lot of those pitching meetings or pitching conversations, but I mean, you can see the guy. You know, he wants to be good for us. You know, he wants to help us win. And obviously, you want to have success for yourself. But he loves his team. He loves his city. He wants us to win. He wants us to do good, and he knows he's a big part of that. And so, when he went through some struggles, you know, he knew he could feel like he was letting his teammates down, and that can wear on a guy. And then to top it off, you know, like I said, I'm not privy to a lot of the pitching conversations, but I'm sure he had people coming at him left and right, like, "Oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that," because that's how it goes with hitters too. You see it with Vladdy when as soon as Vladdy like goes 0 for or goes like a week without hitting a home run, it's like, "Oh my God, what's the matter with Vladdy? Why is he not hitting every ball 120 miles an hour?" And it's like, just that's not really how baseball works. You know, sometimes you gotta take a step back and just understand who you are and that you're going to go through some stuff. And when you put together a good year, the valleys are a lot shallower and a lot shorter. And when you're going good, you seem to ride it out a lot longer. So it's just part of how the game goes.
Whit, do you have conversations with guys? Do you say, like, to Vladdy, do you go up to him and say, "Hey man, I know you're not where you want to be right now, and maybe I can help," or you just let a guy like I mean, Bo's been great. So, but do you go to Vladdy and say, "Hey, man, like I know it's hard right now. Maybe I don't know." Do you have those conversations, or do you just kind of leave guys alone?
Depends on the guy. It depends on the time, and depends on. I mean, you can see when it's a guy's performance is really bothering him, when he's really struggling, or when he's just not having results. And so when I can see a guy really look like he's grinding, you know, there's certain times where you're like, "Hey man, like stick with it, you know, like it's gonna be fine. You're just going through it right now." And there's times where it's like, "Hey, I see something. You want to talk about it?" And it just depends on, you know, where the guy's at and who he is. With Vladdy, most of the time it's, "You'll be fine, kid. Like, just keep doing it. Just stay with you, do you, and you'll be fine. And then there are times. There's been one time with him where we were like, hey man, like I see this, we see this. This might be something to think about if you haven't. And after we had that discussion, he started hitting. He hit, I think, 2 home runs in back-to-back games and started hitting balls. He hits balls harder than I've ever seen. It's dumb. I don't understand how he does it.
That's what I mean. Do you think Vladdy looks at you and goes, "Hey man, I like you, Bobby, but like you don't hit the ball like me. Like you don't."
Probably.
That's what I would sit there and say. Hey, I want to ask you about your contract. You have a mutual option for next year. What the heck is a mutual option? And are you going to pick your end of it after you're an all-star this year? And will the team want to pick up their end of it? Or are you a very sneaky, worthwhile free agent coming up?
So the way I understand mutual option is it basically, like, I don't know if it's ever been picked up in the history of baseball, because usually like, if you have a really good year as a player, you're going to decline it because you want to go to free agency, right? But if you have like a subpar year, you're going to pick it up, but the team's not going to, right? So the way I understand it, like from a strategic standpoint, is you try to set it like really high, so that way when you go to free agency, a team can't be like, well, your mutual option was say $8 million, and you guys didn't agree to it. Why would we offer you $8 million a year, type thing? So mine's at $18 million. So if the team is interested in picking that up, might have to think about it. But I'm very much probably counting on entering that free agent market. It's the only time in my career I'll probably ever get to have, like, I'm not going to sign a 10-year deal by any means, but I might be able to, get a couple years out of somebody. And I'll be 34, or I'm 34. I'll be 35, but I think my 35 looks a lot different than most people's 35, and I still feel just like I did. Honestly, I can say it because it's me, but I feel like I did 6-7 years ago. I really do. And whether teams believe it or not, I mean, I'm out there running just as fast as I was 6-7 years ago, and doing some things, and knock on wood, still have been pretty durable. So I got all those things working for me against my age.
Are you looking forward to being courted and getting the phone calls? Hey, what, AJ? Because you didn't like it? Whit likes nice dinners.
It sucks, I promise you. People think it's great. So I hope you are a free agent. I hope you get every dollar you can. But when you get into it, it's not everyone. People outside of baseball think being a free agent is like, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. Meanwhile, you got like 5 teams, and they all offer you about the same amount of money. And you're like, which one do I go to? And you're sitting there waiting for one team to like make the jump. No one does. It's really stressful, because then if you don't sign early and you get into like January, then you got mom and dad calling you. Why haven't you signed yet, Whit? Nobody wants you out there. So it's not as fun as people make it out to be. It's not like when Scott's a free agent on the bodybuilding circuit. All the magazines are calling for him.
Didn't think he'd go there, but okay.
Yeah. No, I've not heard many rave reviews about being a free agent, so I don't know. We'll see. I need to put together a solid second half to give myself a little bit more leverage, but yeah, we talk about it here a lot. You want to get paid, win, and that's where our focus is right now. Is getting into the playoffs and making a deep run in the playoffs, because Brandon Belt is the key voice in that. He's like, hey guys, listen, I know a lot of you guys are young, talented, you're going to make a ton of money. You want to get paid, let's win, and winners get paid. So that's where our focus is right now. And then after the season, we can talk about all this other stuff.
On Belt, how do you think his delivery is when he gives lines sometimes? Because he's been doing this for a while, and it pops up like every month or so. Like, I think the latest one was him calling out Brandon Crawford for taking his locker and saying like it's terrible. And the funny thing is, if people don't know him, like if you're a fan of another sport and it just gets thrown out there on social, they're like, who is this guy? Because I think he at one point, maybe a month ago, said like he was way better than someone who was amazing, and he was in a totally serious tone. And people are like, who is this guy? Like, who does he think he is? I'm like,
Logan Webb.
Do your homework.
No, it was well, the first one was he was like 1-2 with Ohtani and the DH voting, and he was like, well, that's how you know it's rigged, because I'm obviously a way better hitter than Ohtani, a better leader, better looking. And then we got the Giants in town, and they had Logan Webb's one of his better friends, and he said, look, it's going to be weird. I don't want to hurt his feelings. I just want to embarrass his whole family. But Belter's sneaky a lot of talk, because I told him, or he was talking about going up there. He was like, I'm gonna do the Babe Ruth. I'm gonna point to the fence. He's like, what do I got to lose? This is probably my last year anyway. I was like, do it. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Walks up, doesn't do it, and then almost hits a homer. So it would have been pretty legendary if he would have done it. But Belter is one of the more unique teammates I've ever had. I would say one of the funniest, but his comedy like makes me really uncomfortable sometimes, and so
yes.
When I laugh, it's like an uncomfortable, like I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm laughing type thing. And he's an absolute treat, though. We love having him around.
So he's got the rare senioritis in Major League Baseball, knowing that he's towards the end, whatever, this year, maybe next year. Like, fuck, I used to call it fuck it mode when I was younger. Like, if you're on a team that you shouldn't be on, or you're a senior or something like that, where like he can do shit and just not care. I mean, he does it in the media and it's hilarious, but I agree. I want to see him do something different. Like, he can do the standoff, right? And stand there where literally like someone has to pick him up and place him off the field if he's going to be moved. Like, even after he wins, where he's like, nah, fuck it. I just want to see how long we can delay this one game.
Yeah, his favorite line right now is you guys know I'm here for you because I'm basically playing for free. He's making like almost $10 million this year. Yeah, I'm basically paying these guys to come play every day. So it's, he's a unique, but like I said, we love having him around. He's great. He brings a lot to the.
Whit, are you going to make the All-Star team this year? Because what looks good on contracts? All-Stars.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. I'm not counting on starting, that's for sure. I think Marcus has very much earned that. But the next little round is player voting, so we'll see how the players end up voting, and I don't know. Every All-Star team needs a utility man, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're good at it too. So, hell yeah. You know what happens when you make that All-Star team? Guess what they do? The Jays are going to say, we're picking up our end of the option. You're going to have to go, do I want 18 million or do I want 18 million?
We'll see. I think we find out like the starters tonight, and then I think the others on Sunday, maybe. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. We'll see. It'd be great to do. I love Seattle. I love that stadium, so it'd be cool to have an All-Star game there. But I don't know. We'll see.
Does it drain on you to know that you might not have those days off? Like, do you have plans, or are you like, I kind of want those days off. I'm kind of getting exhausted.
Well, it's either go to Seattle, probably fly private to Seattle with some guys and go to a bunch of really cool parties with a bunch of really cool people, or I could go home to my house that my wife and I recently moved into, a newly built home, and do a bunch of stuff like pick weeds and clean the pool and talk to subcontractors. So yeah, it actually is kind of wearing me out that I might have to go and do that versus go to Seattle and have a great time.
You're too rich for that. You're too rich to pull weeds, and you're too rich to hire people for that, Whit.
No, he's a grinder.
Yes.
No.
I'm my wife's number, and you have that conversation with her. Let me know how it goes.
She's a grinder. He's not a free agent. She knows. She's not living that Louis life yet until he gets to free agency. She is keeping him hungry, keeping that carrot dangling.
We're on a cow farm. We don't she just grew up like blue collar.
Whit, here's what you do, Whit. She gives you a task and you just epically fail at it. And then from that moment on, she'll hire somebody to do it because you're like, well, I look at the last one. I screwed up so bad. Oh,
I killed all the grass.
Yeah, I missed all those weeds that you needed me to pull. I forgot about them. And then, we'll just hire the lawn guy to do it for an extra $100 a month, and we'll call it even.
But we've been together for 18 years. She knows when I'm trying to pull one on her. So she knows what I'm good at.
Just magically, you'll have more friends. You sneak onto the app that does it, and you're just be like, oh my. You communicate with them first and say, this cannot be transactional publicly. Okay, I will Venmo your ass, but you show up. You're my new friend, Billy Bob, and you're coming over and you're helping with a number of things. So, just throwing it out there. We're trying. AJ, and it's a very big difference here. Like Kratz, DIY,
grinder.
AJ and me,
not a grinder.
DI nothing.
Kratz, you have a frog problem. You know how to get rid of frogs?
Frogs?
Frogs everywhere. Everywhere.
That's a weird problem to have. It's like a plague.
Yeah.
It's like a plague. At night, it's like I'll send you a video of the sound that's at night. It's wild.
Have you ever gigged? You can gig them.
Yeah. So what we tried to do. This is just kind of a side note, but when it first happened, like 2 weeks ago, I get alerts from our security cameras, and it was like I was getting alerts from like 10 o'clock to like 2 o'clock. And so I look at them, I look at the video, the little highlight thing, and it's my wife and my mother-in-law on the pool deck stomping frogs because there's hundreds of frogs like ribbiting. They're out there catching them with our pool net, putting them on the ground and stomping the shit out of them. They killed like 75 frogs on the pool deck and kept the blood all over the deck to try to warn the frogs, like, these are your cousins, don't come back. So we don't know what the heck. We got to freaking play.
Do you live like in a swamp? I don't understand because I don't understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, we live on a dairy farm basically, but we got a creek kind of at the bottom, and then we got a pool, and it was super raw land where we built the house, and so we think that like when we were building, all the wildlife kind of like got scared, and now that we've settled in and everything's kind of calmed down, they're starting to come back to their home, and like, oh look, here's a small little pond when it's our pool, and I don't know, it's a mess.
This is like the sequel to Snakes on a Plane, like Frogs on a Farm.
Yeah.
Nobody's
fucking frogs off my farm.
Yeah, nobody's giving me the answer. The only thing that they say is, I'll say like, how do I get rid of these frogs? They'll say, man, I don't know, but frogs attract snakes. That's the only response I'm getting. That's the worst answer you could give my wife. Frogs attract snakes.
That's terrible. I like the Slaughterfest on the pool. I like that.
Oh,
with the noise, I want to see video of your wife and mother-in-law stomping them.
Yeah, it was crazy. So Seattle sounds really
Yep. Join us. We'll be out there. Come on, join us.
Yes. That took a wild turn. Now we need to start a campaign to get Whit to the All-Star game so A, he can sleep and not hear the bullshit from the frogs, and B, it's like save the frogs, vote Whit to the All-Star game.
God,
I like that campaign.
Push the vote in my favor. Sorry, Marcus, but I think he's pretty much wrapped that up.
Okay, our social team will be on it. We're working on it.
Second place is good.
Yeah.
Whit, good to see you. We'll let Trout know that he's in. We'll let him know tomorrow.
All right, guys. See y'all later.
Cheers, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Whit.
Yep.
Whit Merrifield with us on FT Live. Oh, wow.
Didn't see that coming.
That one I have not heard before. No. I mean, AJ's got alligators and snakes and all kinds of birds, and he's the bird whisperer. Frogs? I mean, I've seen frogs around, but like hundreds of frogs?
No. Mm-mm. Never seen it. I mean, I've seen you guys videos of the mayflies in my house where the whole side of the wall is just covered in them, right? But frogs? That's why I was like, where do frogs come from? Like, I have frogs in my house, I got a few frogs, like maybe 20 frogs you see at night, and they're ribbiting, but hundreds of frogs ribbiting at the same time. Man, you better get some earplugs, Whit.
Drop them in Oakland.
What?
What? Oakland's got the zoo at their ballpark.
Oh.
Possums and frogs.
Yeah, John Fisher loves animals. The A's owner. He's all about it.
Reach.
No? Okay, fine. All right. I'll try this one then. The latest Legends Territory is available on Apple, Spotify, this very YouTube channel, and it features the great Mike Piazza, who was a great interview. Awesome conversation. We went on the Mets, Team Italy, and of course, the epic Roger Clemens, Mike Piazza rivalry, which I think is worth a little sneak peek right here.
I'm just thinking about how so many people want Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg to do a celebrity boxing match or something. If I came to you and I was like, all right, listen, this is going to make 50 mil. It's 15 for each of you, and 20 goes to an incredible charity. 3 rounds. You down?
How much mil?
15.
15 mil each. Oh, there's no way you raise that much. I just did the Special Forces show last year for nothing. I got my ass kicked.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I mean, I did the special. I mean, it was funny. I was thinking, I'm going to do this because my dad was in the Army and he was drafted for Korea, and it was just kind of a tribute thing. And then when I started watching the show, I said, you know what, it's going to be tough. So 15, yeah. If we do 15, yeah, he would. If he kicks my ass, I kick his ass for 15 million. Yeah, I mean, I'm down with that. Yeah, but it ain't gonna happen. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see two old. No one wants to see 2 old guys roll around in the ring.
I do.
For 15 million?
Hell yeah!
They're saying Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg would make millions and millions and millions. Those guys are.
They have that money in their ashtray in their car. They have that money in their sofa, in their sofa.
Dude,
cushion.
you're telling me that nobody in New York, if you put this thing in Madison Square Garden, the Mets fans, and
dude,
the
it would be
Yankee
so
fans,
lame though. 2 old, out of shape dudes rolling around.
That's why it would be awesome, because you guys would both throw one punch, and then you'd be on each other.
They trained for a few months. These dudes are pros. You know how they'd be. They'd go nuts for a few months.
Dude, I just got new teeth. I don't want to get.
I know a great mouth guard guy. You're good.
Legends Territory, it's happening. It's Mike Piazza. It's really good. It's recommended. I don't say that every week about everything, but also it's creating buzz because Roger responded. Rocket's like, I would love to get my butt kicked for 15 mil. I've seen plenty of boxers do that. That's awesome. See, AJ, I purposely asked it that way because I didn't want to just be like, oh, would you do it for charity? Would you do it? Well, I threw in the charity component, but I wanted to make it a number that is meaningful to almost anyone so that I would get myself on the pathway towards a yes.
Oh, he said he'd do it. And the best part, Roger Clemens responded and said he's in too. So how do we make this happen? How on earth we should do a somehow, some way make this happen? Because again, we said it on Legends Territory. If you think about it, in New York, you put this in Madison Square Garden and you say, all right, you can have undercard whoever you want to have. The main event, Mike Piazza, Roger Clemens, the brawl over the broken bat. And let's go. You let them go 5 rounds. They train. They'd be in good shape. And I think it'd be entertaining as hell to watch.
The broken bat brawl.
Yeah, I think it plays. It plays. Undercard, Michael Barrett and AJ Pierzynski with an undercard. With an undercard of Amir Garrett and the entire Pirates bench.
Yes. Or Lorenzen, actually get that going, and that can be MMA because those guys definitely can kick too. You know they're kickers.
There's kicking.
Yeah, there's kicking and punching from those guys.
And then some minor leaguers.
Minor leaguers, I could come up with a few others. Bryce Harper versus Hunter Strickland.
Whoa, Bryce Harper versus Papelbon would be a good one.
See?
Only joking aloud.
All right. Britt Ghiroli from The Athletic swinging by on FT Live. Look what you got yourself into, Britt. How you doing? Any celebrity boxing matches, baseball related, that we are missing on this list?
I don't think so, guys. I would love to see maybe like all three of you guys get after it and like kind of see who's the strongest former player. I did see Todd Frazier the other day. He came to Baltimore. He looks like he's been, lifting. So I think you gotta include him as well.
No, he hasn't. Don't let him. Even though he's not on here, he hasn't been lifting.
He said he was. He said he was.
No, he wasn't. He was just trying to butter you up. He wasn't lifting. He's like, yeah, no chance.
Yeah. Maybe he saw my muscles and we're like, oh, I gotta tell Brittany I lift, or otherwise, I don't know. I'll be scared. He was doing radio though. Terrific. Yes.
Well, we'll work on lining it up because I do think Clemens Piazza still plays. I think that narrative still plays, and he said he'd never been asked about that, and then Clemens immediately replied. So there's juice to this. We're trying to stir it up.
You know who would be good would be like A-Rod and Poppy, or A-Rod and Jeter.
Yes,
who doesn't want to see those guys go after it, right? Like all the pent up. We know there's still some pent up feelings there. I want to see him go at it. A-Rod would crush him though. My money's on A-Rod all day.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to? No, I'm not going to say that.
AJ, tell your Fox people they're both teammates of yours now.
Yeah. But if you notice, they're never on with me.
No.
Yet.
Is AJ? Are you going to go head to head with Ken? I saw this Twitter beef.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I'll take that one.
I gotta tell you,
me versus Ken.
It's the easiest one.
Exactly.
I think I weigh more than Ken.
That's why I want that one, because it'd be easy money.
So unfair. Anyway, Britt, let's start with the Mets press conference. Buck Showalter for years. You've covered him with the Orioles. I know you were tweeting a little bit about the aftermath. So what did you report today? And you're taking a deep breath because get ready. Give us everything you've got on what's going on there, and also mix in the pulse of that press conference. Because for me, I love Steve Cohen for speaking to the public, but at the same time, he didn't say much besides David Stearns will be either replacing or the boss of Billy Epler at some point in the offseason.
Yeah, it was so weird, right? It was like, say David Stearns' name without saying David Stearns' name. Everyone knows they want David Stearns. They wanted him for years. I wrote this about Buck because, to me, watching him with the media postgame is just quintessential Buck when things are not going well. You say, I walked into the stadium yesterday with an Oriole and we were laughing about how Buck has just been like, well, I wouldn't say that. The sky is blue. Well, I wouldn't go there. He's in prime contrarian mode, which is really what he does when things get bad. It's what he did after the Zach Britton game. He never apologized for kind of messing up. He never said, I should have used Zach Britton. No, he continues to say he has this reason for not using Zach Britton that he's going to put in a book one day. And it's like, we want that now. The Mets need explanations now. And I know he's taking a lot of bullets for people in analytics and people in the front office. And, Buck isn't making these decisions in a vacuum alone. So there's so many other people to blame for this. But he also has to do a little bit better than saying to the media who say, hey, who's starting on Tuesday? Oh, why do you want to know that? Do you want to know when you're going to die too? Like, what? Like, he has got to do a better job, in my opinion, of kind of streamlining the chaos. This is New York. It's not Baltimore. And those are televised. So, in my opinion, he's making things worse for himself, guys, by just making the post-game press conferences so awkward and so uncomfortable.
Is he a bad fit for New York?
But he's been in New York before, which is like the craziest thing. Like, we know he can handle New York.
He's different now.
But, yes, those Yankee teams, people forget. No expectations on those Yankee teams at all. Those weren't like the Yankee dynasty years. So I do think it's a little bit different now than it was when Buck was there. I don't think he's a bad fit because I talked to guys in that clubhouse yesterday who said, you're insane if you think he's lost the clubhouse. He's the best manager. He's the best guy for this job. But I do wonder long term if Steve Cohen is saying, hey, I can't fire anybody right now because I want David Stearns to come, right? It's like David Stearns is all they're thinking about right now. So he doesn't want to fire people mid-season. He wants to let them play it out. But I have a hard time believing that everybody is going to keep their job if the Mets miss the playoffs, which right now it would take a ridiculous miracle for them to get into that third wild card. So,
Buck, you were around Buck, obviously, in Baltimore all the time. He's changed. Everyone says, oh, Buck's changed. He's much more lighthearted. Because if any person you talk to about Buck Showalter, he's the most prepared guy. Remember, he was like the no fun police there for a while, and he kind of changed into like ride around on like a scooter and all this weird Buck stuff. But my question is you mentioned his press conferences. He should know these things. He's been around forever. He knew what he got into when he signed this contract with the Mets. So where is this coming from? Because he's a veteran guy that knows the answers.
I know. Thank you, AJ. Can you give him a call? I mean, I talked to him today to make sure he wasn't mad about the column, and then he pretended he didn't read it, and we all know he read it, right? So he's like, "So wait, you crushed me, and now you're not coming into the stadium today?" And I was like, "No, that's not what I'm saying." I think he hasn't learned from his past mistakes, and it's weird because he knows what New York is like. He knows that the manager job, he's been hired and fired tons of times. He knows as soon as things go south, he's going to be the one to blame. So I don't know why someone hasn't said, hey, let's get a little bit of a more positive public face, or let's kind of change the way that we talk to the media a little bit. Or if Buck is just, an old man in his 60s that's saying, listen, I'm doing it this way, I'm digging my heels in. I think that's probably the problem. And again, I think if you think Buck Showalter's the reason the Mets are bad, then you just haven't been paying attention to the Mets this season. But it's not helping matters when he's kind of, going through and starting fights with reporters. I mean, that's just really bad. These are on TV. These are live. This is supposed to be the guy that's leading you. He was NL Manager of the Year last year. And now he's like, well, I don't know why you're asking about leaving David Robertson in the bullpen. How could you not ask about putting David Robertson in the bullpen and not pitching that guy? I mean, that's all anyone wants to talk about. He's insulting our intelligence sometimes with some of these answers. And I don't know why such a smart guy thinks that this is the right way to handle all this controversy.
Well, you guys trained him too well in Baltimore. You guys didn't ask any hard questions. Or he trained you guys better, right? So he said, oh, I used to do this in Baltimore and when I was in Arizona and all these places. But is he the guy? Okay. Is he the guy? Because he's always been the guy that leaves and then the team gets really good after he's gone. So everyone thought, oh, we're hiring Buck Showalter with this $500 million payroll. He's going to take us to the promised land, but he never has. So is he the guy that can right the ship, or do they just finish out the year and say, all right, David Stearns, when you come in, you bring your own manager?
I think that unless they have a turnaround, that's a real possibility. That David Stearns comes in, they say, hey, what is it going to take to get Craig Counsell to come here? What's it going to take to get whoever David Stearns or Billy Epler thinks is the guy in here? Because you're right. I think Buck excels at the backs against the wall teams, the teams where you're like, nobody wants you to win. No one expects you to win. The expectations are low. Buck is so great at rallying a group and saying, it's us versus everybody, and everyone believes it, and everybody cheers. The problem is this Mets team is not that. This Mets team is the team to topple. They entered, along with the Padres, as the team with the top expectations in baseball. So there is no like, hey, Max Scherzer, you're underrated. Hey, Justin Verlander, no one expects you to be good. No, everybody expects you to be good. And I think he's kind of really run the well dry there. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's not a morale guy. He's a guy that really does well with one group. And that's not the way this Mets team is built. Last year, they were supposed to not win. Last year, they outperformed expectations, and you saw how good he was. Everything that he did worked out, and everybody loved Buck. And this year, it's just a different dynamic. And I think a lot of this is on the players, too. I don't know, outside of Scherzer, how many really fiery, competitive guys are in there. Last year, when they got eliminated by the Padres, that clubhouse was just like, nah, all right, time to go home, right? And I'm not doubting they care, but I think a lot of guys like Lindor are not super emotional and not super, vocal about their emotions. And I think that hurts them, especially when they're in this kind of stretch.
What are the chances that the Mets turn it around?
I mean, you guys know, you've been in those clubhouses. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Look, can they beat the Cincinnati? Yeah, I mean, could they do what Cincinnati did? Sure, but one, they're not in the Central. And two, they haven't even won 4 games in a row this year. So to go on a stretch where they're winning 10, 12, 14 games seems absurd, especially because they just haven't pitched. They haven't hit. It hasn't been like 1 or 2 guys. I was talking to this with Scherzer yesterday. I was like, have you ever been on a team, Max, where every single player is underperforming? Not like 2 or 3 guys, not like, half the team is playing, an average season and the rest kind of suck. Like every single guy on this roster sucks. And he said the 2014 Nationals, I haven't really looked it up to see if that's a good parallel here, but it is remarkable how bad everybody is. So I don't think that there's a turnaround coming. Like 2 or 3 guys may have a better second half, but is that enough to catch the Braves? No, it's not. Like, is that enough to leapfrog 10 teams? No, it's not. So I think they're probably going to have to be sellers at the trade deadline, which is the most insane thing ever if you think about it, guys. This is literally the most expensive team in baseball, and they're going to hold up a big for sale sign in their front lawn and say, well, what do you want for these guys? Because we're giving them away.
I will say for the sport, it's awesome because the trade deadline was looking a little bit soft, right? Because there's so many teams that are in contention, and this is part of having an extra wild card because it makes more teams involved, which is mostly good because you don't want fan bases saying, see you later in May. But on the other end, this is where things are interesting because you have the Mets, you have the Cardinals for sure, and see how the Padres are doing, the Mariners are doing, teams like that. But we were talking for a while about like maybe Bieber, Stroman. Now it's like Scherzer, Verlander. Like, let's just start throwing big ass Mets names out there that have free agency coming up. Some of their relievers, I mean, they could do some serious selling. I think Max is probably the most obvious, and we saw Anthony DeComo kind of float out there that it at least sounds like he would most likely waive his no trade clause for me, because he wants to win and he's getting up there in years. Why wouldn't he want to be in the playoffs every year down the stretch? Max gets pissed. I can only imagine how fucking heated Max is right now when, you know, he's somewhat holding his composure together when he's talking to the media. But, like, he didn't think that he was going to be on a team like this. And they talk him into, like, hey, Verlander, maybe you guys aren't BFFs, but, like, this is going to be good, right? You into this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I want to win a World Series. Then it's like, nope, we actually suck.
Yeah, I mean, the Max thing is crazy because he wants to win more than any player I've ever been around in 15 years. I mean, when he won in 19 and I covered the Nats, guys, he was crying, not like tears watering. He was like crocodile tear crying up there on the podium. Like, you could tell this was like the absolute greatest moment of his life. I didn't want to ask him because he's got 4 kids and I didn't want to put him in that position, but I think he might have picked winning the World Series as the top moment in his life. I mean, he is that competitive. So he would absolutely say, waiving my no trade clause. The sticky part with him, though, is who's paying him $40 million next year if they trade for him, right? It's not just a trade deadline deal. It's we got to pay this guy a lot of money next year, too. So you're looking at like a very small percentage of teams. But David Robertson, he could command a lot. You know, you could look at this aging roster and just sell it off for spare parts. The Padres is a little tougher, though, because who's taking on $300 million players that are owed this money over 10 years? Like, does Juan Soto, who's maybe the most movable player, get traded again a year after they butchered their whole farm system for him? Right? There's so many interesting teams that should be sellers, but that may feel the pressure to not be sellers. And then you have teams like the Nationals who, you know, I was told yesterday are sitting pretty because there's just not that many Jameer Candelarios available. So they're going to have a high price on a guy like that. And what they're going to probably do is get more than they should get because there's just not that many teams that are open for business the way the Washington Nationals are.
Yeah, it's perfect timing. When you're a team like that, you say, wait, what? And they're like, it's Candelario. Okay, go get someone else. See what happens. Yep. All right. Yeah, there's just not a lot of teams selling right now. I love it. All right, let's finish with awesome story that you put together on The Athletic about potentially the first female umpire coming to Major League Baseball very soon. So let's get your big picture thoughts, of course, on the person, but also on the groundbreaking that should be happening. When do you think? 2 years from now?
2 years, next year. I think MLB badly needs this to happen. Like, they've, you know, as you guys know, they've been so big on flaunting the GMs and the managers and all the progress that they've made. And they have made a lot of progress, but nothing has been as ugly as the history of female umpires in baseball. I mean, you're talking about lawsuits, multiple lawsuits by multiple women that were filed in the past. In 1974, this is how far back we go. Bernice Greta had to change her name to Bernie. You're talking about Christine Wren, who had to change her name to Chris just to get their foot in the door and then eventually get pushed out. Now, Jen Powell is 46 years old. She's in AAA. She's the first female umpire in 34 years to make it to AAA. The last woman, Pam Postima, spent 9 years at AAA before she had her contract canceled, which basically means you get released. So, you know, it's taken a long time, I think, for people in baseball and in that umpiring group to be okay with females. I don't know why. You can't tell me that she's not any like worse than Joe West or some of these other guys, right? So to me, it's just crazy that it's taken this long. But it's really cool because this isn't like one of those, oh, we need a woman, so let's hurry up and promote a woman. Jen Powell spent 10 years in softball before she even got into baseball. You know, she had 2,000 games under her belt before she showed up to MLB's clinic. She's worked her way up for the last 7 years to get to AAA. So she's by all means legit. And I think we're going to see her sooner rather than later. I think MLB has realized, you know, this has been a wrong thing for so many years. And she's also very deserving of it. So, you know, there were 10 openings last year, and that's crazy among umpires. You know, there are years where there's no openings. I would expect in the next year or two we see her. I hope it's sooner rather than later because I think we need it. And one of the cooler parts about that story, you know, the whole opening of that story was how Adam Wainwright, when she goes to check his hands for a rehab start earlier in the year, he comes over to her and he's like, Jen, I have 4 daughters. Like, I think what you're doing is awesome. So this is impacting a lot of people. A lot of people are cheering for her. And I really hope that we see that soon.
What's going to be her biggest hurdle? Is it going to be the players? Is it going to be fans? Is it going to be managers? Is it going to be media? Well, umpires never get to talk to media, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they always get to slide. No, I think the players buy in. Like, you guys know, I think players don't care anymore.
Do a good job.
Yeah, like, exactly. They don't care as long as you call a good strike zone and don't miss calls, right? Like, she said that the players have been the least of her problems. I think, you know, the real issue is going to be within the umpire ranks because there's only 76 of them. So they're this small little tight-knit group. And for so many years, all that like politicking is what kept all these females out of baseball. So it's going to be about that group accepting her and knowing that she got this job because she's just as good, if not better, than all the other umpires there. So I think that's the biggest hurdle. I don't think fans care. I don't think fans would notice, honestly, other than maybe saying, oh, that umpire's got a ponytail. Like, fans don't notice. I think it's really going to be about the fellow umpires accepting her and being like, okay, she's legit. She's one of us. Because media, players, all that stuff is easy. I think she's more than held her own at all of these levels in dealing with that. I think it's really about kind of changing the way other umpires view the job.
Yeah, and you've convinced me to. Screw it. Like, she should, I mean, technically already be here, but next year at the least. I also, if you need help, can give you a pretty lengthy list of umps that she can replace. I'm happy to help with that list. All of us here at FT Live.
You don't want her to join that list. You don't want, like, the best umpires are not seen. And so I think a high-profile first female umpire is going to be seen. And that is because there's always borderline calls. So one team's going to be like, yeah, she did great. Another team's going to be like, oh, she did terrible in the same game. But so you don't want to make her so high profile that it's like, oh, I know her name. Because when you know an umpire's name, you think bad. You don't ever think of the best umpires.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And she did not want to do this story, by the way. MLB had to keep twisting her arm and twisting her arm and twisting her arm. Because for that reason, I think she's like, I don't want people to know me. Like, I want all these guys, I want to fit in. The worst way to fit in as an umpire is to have your name in a headline on The Athletic, right? In the New York Times website. So she really was hesitant. I think she only did it because, I don't know about you guys, I had never heard of her and I'm in baseball, right? And I think if we haven't heard of her, then how many little girls know that that's a feasible route, right? So I think that was the only reason she relented was like, hey, 1, nobody knows who you are. And 2, you could help other women like you who waited around for 10 years before knowing like, yeah, you can actually be female and be an umpire. It's a legitimate thing now.
Perfectly stated. You're right. Like, be under the radar, but we need a little bit of radar because we need you to be a role model. So weave through that. Good luck. I look forward to seeing her up in the bigs. Great to catch up with you. Appreciate you. We'll get you again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Always love having Britt Ghiroli with us from The Athletic. And, of course, give her a follow and check out that article for more information on what she was talking about in The Athletic. And the follow is at Britt_Ghiroli. All right. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And I want to get into Domingo Germán, the perfect game, which we started with that at the beginning of the show. Now he's dealing with grievance. He lost a family member this week and then has the night of his life on the mound. And he said that he cried a lot in the clubhouse the day before and dedicated his perfect game performance to his uncle. Do you guys have any relatable situations where you're in a clubhouse and you're obviously not going to call the teammate's name out, but there's a teammate going through something really significant, and maybe they were gone for a day or two, they lost a loved one, they're back, and you got to tiptoe that line with them of being there for them, providing comfort, being their friend, also being their teammate and making sure they're ready to go. So there's this psychological component there that makes it probably uncomfortable and difficult. So who wants to start?
That's an impossible situation. Oh, go ahead, Kratzy.
No, I was just going to say, like, game one, right before the game one of the World Series in 2014, my grandfather died. Like, you don't take, he was ailing, but you don't take, unfortunately, baseball is an everyday sport. You don't take life off because of baseball. And it's something that the support you get from the people in your clubhouse is huge. It is so instrumental to be able to lock back into your routine. And so when guys that I played with would go through things like that, deaths or health scares or different things, like, I drew on my personal experience and just was there for them. Like, I never sat there and said, oh man, like, this guy's gonna, he can't be missing these games for this moment in his life. Every single thing you're dealing with in your life, if you're going through it and it affects like how you're able to cope with things and how you're able to deal with things in your life, like, baseball's like way down on the list, way down on the list. And it needs to, and it's okay to ask for help. And that's something that's, I think in the best clubhouses, probably even in the worst clubhouses, you would see from teammates.
Well, it's an impossible situation because you don't know what to say to guys. You try to help them, you try to be there for them, but then at the same time you say, we still got to play a game tonight. And so it just makes it really hard. And when people are going through it, you just try to be there for them, and you try to talk to them, you try to make them as normal as possible, and you try to help them understand that you're there for them. And other than that, every person grieves differently. Every person handles situations differently. So you try to be the best friend and the best teammate you can for them, and just be there and listen to what they have to say and what they're going through.
And hey, if you're going through something right now, for any of our listeners, there is help available for you. If you need therapy and you want it to all be done virtually online, BetterHelp is the spot for you, really. You can hit the app. You can chat with a therapist. You can, of course, have a phone call, a video call. There are so many options. It's a brief questionnaire. They'll match you with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists anytime, no additional charge, and find more balance with BetterHelp. You visit betterhelp.com/FTLive today for 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/FTLive. Life comes at you fast. If you don't feel like you're getting the help that you need an extra resource, someone to talk to, the option is right here for you. They do an incredible job. I've been using the app. I'm all over the app. It's great. Okay. You get quick responses. Everything is taken care of for you on this front with a licensed therapist. They're there for you. So make sure you give it a look if you can, if you haven't already. All right. AJ had to bounce. So it's you and me, Kratz, for the last bonus 2 minutes here.
We've been carrying it the whole day anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Matter.
Kick him while he's gone. See ya. Biggest thing I want to say is Mike Trout tomorrow. But let's slap hands.
Don't whisper. Say it with your chest.
All right, here it is. I'm saying it with my chest.
Yeah, say it with your chest.
Mike Trout is joining the show tomorrow. Let's show the graphic because he's taking over FT Live. I'm very excited about it. I adore this platform in the way that we connect with players. And by we, I say mostly you guys, like you, AJ, Frazier, the player-to-player conversations. I feel like I'm in the clubhouse, so that's cool. And a lot of people feel the same way. We appreciate all the fans that always hit us up and say, I haven't seen anything like this. Well, let's bring Mike Trout into the mix for the first time on Foul Territory. We tweeted about it. Mike, of course, is a superstar and responded with fire emojis all over the place. So tune in tomorrow. We'll be at Borgata in Atlantic City. Todd Father is back in action with us as well. And Todd and Trout have some history as teammates. And remember, we got that story. What?
Me too.
And you too. That's
we
true.
all played together. Man, I'm leaving just like AJ left.
No, you know why? You know why I wanted to bring up Todd? Because you're nicer than Todd. Todd was like making him get food for him, right? That was the story that popped up in my head. Didn't he? Wasn't he like, yo, Trout, go get us some food, all right, kid?
We'll bring that up, and we're definitely gonna. Anyway, we'll bring it up tomorrow. Actually, that's my chest protector. Got my Mark Trout chest protector right there, man. So excited. He's going to come on our show. It's going to be nice.
Is that your Trout impression?
No, that was just my, wow, gee willikers. He's coming on our show. It'd be a lot cooler if he was at the Borgata with us.
True.
Jersey guy, he could sleep at his house. So maybe when they come in and play Philly, maybe we'll get him a cab or maybe like a Uber Black.
Nah, he needs like a hovercraft or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something.
No, he's very down to earth. He's a low key dude, even though he's got hundreds of millions. What's on your head?
So I went all Yankees today. I went Yankees hat, and then I went throwback Scranton Wilkes-Barre hat that we used to wear for when it was the Yankees AAA. It still is Yankees AAA Scranton, but the hat is a throwback. I say a lot of them because I'm bald. I wear a lot of hats, but this one is it's a go-to that even like some of the cool guys that don't wear hats that I played with, they're like, hey, do you mind if Chaco, who was the equipment guy in AAA, he's like, you mind if I get an extra one? Like, I might rock this in the offseason. It's just real crisp and clean.
That is perfect salesman action right there. Okay. I love that. You should have like a discount promo code or something. That's a beauty right there.
Go to it. ScrantonWilkesBarre.com.
We'll see y'all Friday from Borgata. Let's win some money tonight and on Friday. And let's bring on our dude, Mike Trout, tomorrow, along with Ken Rosenthal and maybe others. See you then.
Yep.